Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into some of the most mind-bending ideas in science and philosophy. We're going to explore 5 theories that are really shaking up our attempts to answer one of the biggest questions out there.
I mean, really think about it. What is all this stuff around us? Is the world we see, touch, and feel, is that all there is to it? Or is there something much deeper, maybe even weirder, happening just beneath the surface? Well, these 5 theories have some pretty wild answers.
So, to guide us, we're going to use this idea of a consciousness iceberg. Forget the stuff floating on the surface, the ideas you've probably heard before. We are plunging way, way down to layer 5, to the very bottom, where the most radical, reality-shifting ideas are waiting. So, take a deep breath. We're going in.
Okay, so here's our plan for the dive. We'll start with the idea that the universe itself is mind. Then we'll check out 2 theories that say reality isn't made of things, but of processes. After that, we're going to get personal and question our feelings, and even the idea of you. And finally, we'll come back up for air and look at this whole big unsolved mystery.
All right, let the deep dive begin. Our first theory is a big one. It basically flips our entire view of the universe on its head.
So let's get right to it. Our first stop completely rewrites the rules of reality as we know it. This is Bernardo Kastrup's Analytic Idealism.
So what in the world does that mean? Well, it flips the script. The standard view is that the physical universe came first, and consciousness somehow popped out of it. This theory says, nope, consciousness is the fundamental thing. The entire physical universe, you, me, the stars, everything is just a pattern, like a ripple, happening inside one single universal consciousness.
This is a total reversal of cause and effect. We're taught the materialism is the way it is. Your brain fires up, and that creates your thoughts and feelings. But analytic idealism argues the absolute opposite. Your inner mental state, your experience, is what's real. And that experience is what causes the brain activity that we can measure.
And this quote just nails it. When a scientist is looking at your brain activity on a screen, they are not looking at the source of your thoughts. According to this view, they're looking at a kind of dashboard, an external picture of a mental process that's happening somewhere else, within consciousness itself. The brain doesn't create the mind, it's just what the mind looks like from the outside.
Okay, let's shift gears. We're moving from a universe made of mind to a universe made of action. These next 2 theories argue that reality isn't a collection of static objects, but a continuous flowing process.
First up, we've got Karl Friston's free energy principle. It sounds complicated, but the core idea is pretty simple. Every living thing, from a tiny cell all the way up to you, is basically a prediction machine. You're always constantly building a model of the world and guessing what's going to happen next. Then you sense what actually happens and you act to reduce the difference, the surprise between your prediction and reality. So consciousness isn't something you have, it's the process of doing that, of constantly trying to not be surprised.
Now, this brings us to Alfred Whitehead's Pan-Experientialism. And you might think, oh, that's just panpsychism, the idea that everything, even a rock, is conscious. But it's actually much more radical. Whitehead says reality isn't made of things at all, it's made of events of experience. So an electron isn't a tiny conscious ball. No, an electron is a momentary pulse of experience, a brief feeling of its surroundings. And all these little pulses of experience flow together to create the bigger, more complex experiences that we have.
All right, our next stop on this tour, well, it gets really personal. We're about to deconstruct 2 things we think of as fundamentally real: our feelings and our very sense of self.
Mark Solms argues that the foundation of consciousness isn't thought, it's raw feeling, or what he calls affect. So think about it like this. You touch a hot stove. The valence is the immediate sense that this is bad. The qualia is the specific raw burning sensation itself, the what it's likeness of that pain. And the action is that unstoppable urge to snatch your hand back. For Solms, everything else, all our high-level thinking, is built on top of these raw primal feelings.
And now, for maybe the most unnerving idea of them all. The philosopher Thomas Metzinger flat out argues that the self, that little driver in your head, the you that you feel is running the show,
is not real. It just doesn't exist. He claims that what you're experiencing is a highly sophisticated simulation, a phenomenal self-model that your brain creates, and you're not the pilot. You're just experiencing the world from inside the simulation.
So why is this illusion so convincing? This quote explains it perfectly. Metzinger says the model is transparent. It's like wearing a pair of perfectly clean glasses. You don't see the glass, you just see the world through the glass. You don't feel like you have a self-model, you feel like you are a self. It's the most seamless, perfect user interface imaginable.
Wow. So after that trip through the absolute depths of these theories on consciousness, where does this all leave us? Let's zoom out and look at the whole map of these incredible, conflicting ideas.
So here it is, all laid out. You've got Kastrup's epic idea that reality is just a projection from one universal mind. Then there's Friston and Whitehead who see it all as a dynamic process of action and events. Solm brings it right down to the bedrock of raw feeling. And then Metzinger comes in and says the main character in your story, you, is a functional illusion. These are 5 wildly different ways to explain the same thing.
Which brings us right back to the central mystery. So what is it? Is consciousness the cosmic source of everything? Is it just a handy biological trick our brains evolved to keep us from being surprised all the time? Or is that core feeling of being me the most sophisticated, useful, and inescapable illusion ever created? For right now, that remains one of the greatest unsolved questions there is.